Hello, this is Mark Wojcinski, and this instructional guide will be covering the construction of a bone and antler knife. Please read and follow all the directions, and enjoy and be safe. First, to complete your project, we're going to need some basic tools. Either hand or power tools can be used. The tools shown here in these 5 figures is not inclusive of everything that you could use, but this is a basic amount of tools that will aid you in constructing your knife. A hacksaw or some type of power saw is going to be needed. Also, you're going to need an assortment of files, a sort of sandpaper from 80 to 800 grit. A hand or drill press is also handy to have, and a rotary tool will make life much easier and save time and effort on your part. A belt sander will also cut down on the time that you need to finish your blade. The materials you're going to need for this project, for the blade, you're going to need a clean, dried section of animal bone. I recommend using a section of beef leg bone. You also need some deer antler for the handle and some attaching materials such as natural or artificial sinew or wire and adhesive. Before you start, you're going to need to get a few things gathered together other than your tools and your materials. You're going to need a work area that is large enough to contain all your tools and materials and to work in, some good lighting to reduce the amount of shadows cast, some assorted other items to have for additional equipment that will make your work easier. There's going to be a pencil. You want to always use a pencil when you're marking bone or antler, wax paper, a small vise or some clamps, and some small pieces of scrap wood. Moving on to safety, key thing to keep in mind is you don't want to breathe any of the dust generated from cutting or sanding your bone or antler. This stuff is hazardous and it can cut your lungs. Always wear a dust mask or a respirator. Make sure you have some safety glasses or a face mask and gloves at a minimum. If you're using power tools, hearing protection, and make sure that you're not wearing any open-toed shoes and have a long sleeve shirt and pants. The first item you want to make is the blade. To start the blade, carefully examine your bone to find a flat side. This is the side you want to cut your blade blank from. Use a pencil to mark out your basic shape of your blade, and always cut after you've measured and marked. Cut the bone lengthwise along the flattest side to get the largest blade that you can. Trim, cut, sand, or saw your bone until you have a fairly flat surfaced rectangle about approximately an eighth to 5/16 of an inch thick and as long as wide as you want the blade to be. Draw your pattern out on your blade blank and with the pencil, and make sure you mark a couple of notches towards the base of the blade. This is going to be needed to help secure the blade to the handle. Once you have the basic pattern drawn and cut out, check and mark any final adjustments you want to make. Leave a slight amount of excess around the outside of your marks and go ahead and finish that up by hand if you're using power tools, or switch to a slower and very carefully adjust it down to the edge of the marks. You want to find the center of the edge that's going to be your cutting edge and mark the center of that with a pencil. You want to file or sand from the spine or the back of the blade towards your cutting edge. Also, you want to taper it towards the tip. Work on one side until you're close to the center line that you've marked, and then flip it over and work on the other side. While you're making your tapers, you're going to actually have 2 tapers going from the base to the tip and also from the spine or the back of the blade to the cutting edge. For your handle, you're going to want to find a good fit to your hand by grasping it in several places. Once you determine that, the area you want to use for your handle, go ahead and mark the antler with a pencil and tape around it to allow for cutting a straight line. After you have your antler section for the handle cut off, go ahead and clean up the cut and mark the center with a pencil. This is going to be where you're going to notch it out as shown in the lower right hand corner. Clean up the notches that you put in the blade with a round file and adjust the slot or the notch that you've cut in your handle until it's about the same depth as the notches in the blade are. Pre-fit your blade into the notch that you've cut into the handle and check your final fit and adjust as needed. Once you have the blade fit into the notch in the handle, go ahead and mark a spot to put a groove to haft around the antler handle. This groove is to ensure that the sinew or your wire that you're using to wrap the around the handle will not slide. Okay, finalize and fit and align your blade in the handle. Once you do this, go ahead and wrap the sinew or wire around the handle so you know about how much you need, and also that the groove you've cut is deep enough. Put a small amount of your adhesive on each side of the blade where it fits into the handle. You won't really need a whole lot. This is just to give it a little bit of structure and rigidity. If you're using super glue and you get a little bit of excess on there, you can remove the excess with fingernail polish. After the glue is set, you can wrap your sinew or your wire around the handle into the groove. 2 or 3 wraps are enough. The adhesive provides most of the holding power. After you have wrapped and secured your wrapping material, whether it's wire or sinew or artificial sinew, put a light coating of your adhesive around the wrapping. That'll hold it in place and make it water and wear resistant. Final finishing can be as simple as lightly buffing the knife with some 3 or 4/0 steel wool, or buffing it with a soft cloth. A coating of boiled linseed oil, tung oil, or clear polyurethane finish can be applied. Before you put the finish on it, if your blade is not quite as sharp as you would like, you can use a little bit of sandpaper and clean up your cutting edge. The bone blade will dry out over time if you do not put any type of finish on top of it. So you should occasionally wipe it down with mineral oil or vegetable oil if you're going to use it for cutting food. Some additional hints, tips, and decorations. For any embellishments or decorations can be added, such as drilling the holes near the butt of the handle and passing a thong through it and put beads on it. Leather, rawhide, or wire can be wrapped around the handle. The handle can be carved, checkered, or incised. You can also notch, drill, or scrimshaw on the blade. Use your imagination, or you can check into other types of primitive knives to make this your own. Some additional hints and tips for construction are listed in the lower left-hand corner. And additionally, your bone and horn can also be stained with shoe polish or a mixture of tea that's been boiled. Be safe and enjoy your new knife. Thanks for watching.